every MLB free agency that passes by, it always feels like there's a handful of guys that are just better than all of the rest. Some elite difference makers who will potentially command hundreds of millions of dollars, but deliver when your team needs them on the field. Signing one of those guys is one of the best things that your favorite MLB team can do in the offseason. But it's actually not the best thing. The best thing is when your team finds the diamonds in the rough. Those special players who aren't valuing themselves as $100 million guys, but still produce like all-stars when the time comes. This is a list of 5 players who right now are getting seriously underrated by the MLB, and your team should probably go out and sign them. Make sure you stay till the end, folks, because the last one is definitely a bit contentious. The first name that we're going to talk about here is Yerry Rodriguez. Rodriguez is a 26-year-old Cuban-born pitcher who has recently played in the Japanese league and absolutely dominated. In 2022, the last year that he played in that league, he posted a 1.15 ERA in 54.2 innings out of the bullpen, and his stuff is incredible. Francis Romero tweeted out, "Waiting for free agency, Rodriguez threw 94 to 97 miles per hour in 3 consecutive tryouts with dominant pitches such as the curve and slider." According to several industry experts I consulted, the belief is that Yerry will receive a multi-year contract in the range of 40 to 70 million. Now, obviously, making the jump from one league to another is never easy, but with the stuff that this guy has and with what he's been capable of doing in the Japanese league, the ceiling is just so high for him to be a dominant arm in the MLB. It should also be noted that he spent a significant amount of time as a starter as well, so you could actually decide whether you want him in the rotation or in the bullpen, which is just extremely valuable. If he does end up making close to the $40 million that's being predicted, then in my opinion, that would be a freaking steal. Next, let's talk about HyunJin Ryu. Maybe there's a little bit of bias here because I am a Toronto Blue Jays fan, but HyunJin Ryu, in my opinion, is getting seriously undervalued this offseason. Ryu is coming off of Tommy John surgery and hasn't pitched a whole lot in the last few years, which is probably why he's not being talked about so much right now. However, this past year when he returned to baseball, he put up a 3.46 ERA in 52 innings and looked just as good as he's ever looked in the past. He also hit the gym while he was away, losing a significant amount of weight, leading him to be in the best physical shape that he's been maybe in his whole career. Ryu won't break the bank at all either because the guy is 37 years old. He's probably only looking for a 1 or 2 year deal, and considering what he was capable of doing last year down the stretch, I think that any contending team looking for a 4th or 5th pitcher would be lucky to have this guy. Teams would also be very lucky to have Frankie Montas in the rotation as well. And I mean, Frankie Montas, very similar situation going on with HyunJin Ryu, phenomenal pitcher in the MLB, right? This was one of the biggest names at the trade deadline a few years ago, but a few injuries later, and now nobody is talking about him. And we gotta remember that this is a player, when healthy, who is completely capable of being the 1 or the 2 on your pitching staff, and we've just seen him eat innings before. I think that it is very safe to say that had Frankie Montas not been injured last year, that his contract, it could be pushing $100 million, right? But because there is that injury concern, you're looking at a guy who's probably only gonna get a 1-year deal. And in my opinion, if you can lock this dude up for a 1-year deal, just a prove-it deal, you might end up with a Cy Young contender on your team. This is one of those signings where if it does actually pay off, it could completely change your ball club for next season. Next, we're gonna talk about a guy who I imagine most of you probably have never heard of, Yuki Matsui. NBC Sports writes, one of Japan's best relievers, Matsui has saved 95 games with a 1.42 ERA and a 214 strikeout to 53 walk ratio in 152 innings the last 3 years. He's been pitching in the bigs since age 18, so he qualifies for free agency in Japan, meaning no posting fee is required. He'll probably be signed as a setup man, but he could close again in time. Prediction, 3 years, 24 million. They have this guy listed as their 49th best overall free agent, and if you can lock up a 28-year-old with closing potential for a deal like the one that they just predicted, I think you gotta snatch it up. Final guy now, and I do think think this one is going to be pretty contentious, but it's Trevor Bower. Bower just finished his first year in the Japanese league, and he was damn good. The guy pitched for a 2.56 ERA last year, over 156 innings, and regardless of your thoughts on this dude, there's no denying that he is very good at baseball. In the last year that he was in the MLB, Bower was phenomenal and pitched for a 2.59 ERA. He's going to be 33 years old at the beginning of next season, so he definitely has a few good years left, and I just think that it is very rare when you can actually lock up a dude with Cy Young potential on a 1 or 2 year deal for a discount. That's what you can do with Trevor Bower, and that's why he made this list. But folks, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.